Welcome to Jeks Analytics. So today we'll be looking at getting started with Excel for data analytics, and we have built step-by-step guide for this particular tutorial. So starting from introduction to Excel, overview, then we'll discuss the overview of the Excel interface, look at the ribbons, the cells, the rows, what are columns, the formula bars. Then we'll look at the basic formulas in Excel. We see how the plus, the minus, the multiplication, and the division operators work in Excel. We'll also do some practical demonstrations. Here again, then we'll move to the data cleaning and preparation techniques. Remember, Excel is broad, but we have narrowed this particular module to be Excel for data analytics. There is Excel for accounting, there is Excel for documentation, there is Excel for a clerk. But this is Excel for data analytics, and that is some of the things that we'll be looking at. Then again, we'll see the data cleaning, how to do some data cleaning in Excel, how to remove the duplicates, filtering of data, handling of errors. Then we'll move again to other preparatory analysis, the tools like find and replace, text to columns. Then we'll move forward to Excel functions for data analytics. That's where we'll begin to see some average, count, sum if, count if, VLOOKUP. Some of these things are the things we hope to cover in this particular session. So please stay tuned and grab your laptop, grab your cup of tea or water, bottle of water, anyone that you can grab, and stay tuned because we're about to learn a lot. So back to Excel. If you open your Excel, I know some of you, depending on the model you are using, but this is Excel 365. I don't know the interface of the Excel version you are using, but I'm sure most of the interface will be the same with mine. So this is the ribbon interface. The home ribbon, I mean to say. So here we can see some of the tabs. So we can see the font tabs, which is, this area is all about the fonts, where we can format the font. This area is all about the alignment, how we can align the cells, the font, and everything. And this is also for the number formatting. So the number format, this is the alignment settings, this is the font setting. So this is the number setting. Do you want it, like when you type 2000, for instance, you type 2000 and you want it to be in comma, you just put comma here, and it begins to assume it to be what? To be like a currency, or because a currency, when you put comma, the Excel begins to assume that you want this to be in an accounting or in a currency form. So that's another way to look at it. Then if you look at it, you see when it was, if I go back here, it was general. See, it was general here. But if I put it into currency, so you can see different formats of how we can format this number. I can make it just be number with a decimal, or to be currency, so it will carry the currency. And so these are like different ways you can format. Then again, this is for the styles. I mean, as time goes on, you get to see how we use some of these things and how to apply them. It's just for us to understand the tabs that are under the home ribbon. We also have the insert ribbon. This is where we see pivot table. We can insert pictures, shape, anything that we want. This is where we can insert it. We can insert any shape. Also insert charts. As time goes on in this guide, we'll see how we can use that. These you can also see under the insert. You can also see we can insert other slicers, header. This is some sort of formatting. Maybe for those that are building invoice on Excel, this is where they can put their own already built headed paper in their invoice or something like that. So this is just where you can insert something into the document. Now moving to the formulas, this you can see all types of formulas. This is the basic formula, which is the sum, the average, the count, the maximum, the minimum. This is the basic function. Then there are also financial functions, like I said, Excel is broad. There is Excel for a lot of things. So you can see this is some of the Excel used by most those in the financials when we begin to hear um um value PV and all that. So these are like different Excel. So there is Excel, logical Excel for ifs and even for scientific purposes. There is Excel for mathematics, trigonometries, and all that. So lookup references. So there is Excel for a lot of things, like I said. So as time goes on, we'll narrow ours down towards Excel for data analytics. So that's most of the ribbons. Then the most part that will concern us too is also this data ribbon, which is where so for Excel 365, you cannot import Excel, you cannot import file into Excel. So maybe or from any database, you can import it into Excel or from an Azure. So let's say you are doing your analysis in Excel, you can get your data from any of these database, Azure database, or maybe external data as well. So these are like different sources. So is new, is one of the things that are new. So it depends on the version you are using, where we can now import, so excuse me, where you can now import Excel in, sorry, data into your Excel and then begin to work on it. So you can also see that from the web and all that, or even from CSV file. So let's say you have a CSV file that you want to bring into your Excel. This is also one way you can bring it. And there is now also a Power Query that is integrated into Excel. But I mean, let's not go there for now. So these are some of the things that we will see as time goes on. It's just for us to understand what are ribbons and the function and where some of the tabs are under these ribbons. So under this, most of the things we do as data analytics are usually in formulas and data, because under here we see remove duplicates, data validation, test column, which is a sort of splitting, is also one way we can split a column. So what if analysis, forecast. So these are like most places we see we use most of our functions. Also the same with inside, because under insert we see pivot table, and also we can insert our charts depending on what is it that we are doing, and then other. So under home again, when we talk of, I don't think I talked about the 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 certain functions. Yes, here. So some of these things we get to see this, how to apply drop down, search and replace. Some of these things we get to see them fill. So all of these things we get to see how we apply them as time goes on. For columns and rows, so the A and the B and the C, these are columns. These are columns and these are rows. These are rows. So what make up a cell is an address of the column, which comes first, followed by the address of the row. For instance, if I click here, now this particular place is called a cell. This thing is called a cell. But how do every cell in Excel has an address? Every cell here has an address. So if I click here, that Excel has an address. How do we address a particular cell? We first of all look at the column and match it to the row number. That is how we address the cell. So for here, this is A3, and this is the name here. This is the name there, A3. So another one, if I click on, see, B6. So this is B6. Remember, the column comes first, then followed by the row. That is what we call a cell. Now a column, this is a column. A row, this is a row. This is a row. This is selection of a row. This is selection of a column. This is selection of a column. So we now know what is row and column. Then for the formula, I mean, this is also if I say 2, if I put 2 here and then I put 5 here, right? And then I select these two and then I want to apply the formula. If I say sum, it's a 7. So what this means is 2 and 5 is 7. So this is just one way for us without not using formula by code. This is formula by operation. So let's say we have another thing. Let's say we have 4, 5, 8, 7, 9, whatever. And then here we'll have 6, 3, 1, 9, 8. So there are two things I want to do. So let's say I want to know the sum of this each and every one of these. So what I do is I select the first two cells that contain that, and then I can just use the formula that says sum, and then it does that. Now, that is one thing with Excel. Excel is very brilliant. Now, I don't need to, what I have done here, I don't need to repeat it for the rest. All I need to do is, you see that short box here. So you watch my cursor turns to black. So when my cursor turns to plus, that black cross sign means it is ready to drag. So you click on it, hold it, that's what we call dragging. Click and hold, and then shift your mouse down. It applies what it has done here, it applies it to the rest of them. If you look at 5 plus 3 is 8, 6 plus 1 is 7, 9 plus 19, 8 plus 9 is 17, and 9 plus 8 is 17. So you see, that is what, instead of us having to do it one by one, just use the box and then drag it down, and then it applies to all. Another way we can also do that is by formula typing, so which we'll get to in our next line. I just want us to be following the guide. Next one, we'll go to the basic arithmetic operators. This is where we see how we can apply the plus, the minus, the multiplication, and the division operators in Excel. After that, we'll see how we can also type the formulas and then do some practical demonstrations to that. Let's also see how some of these mathematical operators work in Excel. So here we'll see if remember how we've addressed Excel. So if I want to initiate a formula in Excel, the first thing I need to do to initiate a formula in Excel is to press equal sign. When you press equal sign means Excel is ready to take on any formula that you want to apply. So either I type the cell address like I have told us, or I can just click on them. So I can click on this and the cell address is there. So I can say this plus, this plus this is equals to what? So this is where I'm using an operator sign, not the sum sign, not the one that we did here, just an operator sign. If I select this cell, remember, for me to select any cell, I have to first of all initiate the formula mode by what? Putting equal sign. Once I put equal sign, Excel enters into what? Formula mode. And then I will select the cell, and then I say plus another cell. So selecting that cell means it is taking the value of that cell. It's not just about the 2 or the 5. It's about whatever that is in that cell. That is the difference. So if I select it, it becomes 7. Remember what I said about whatever that is in that cell. So It's not about and it's not about two and five. It's about the cell, because if I make this cell to be 5, this 7 will turn to 10. Right? See? So the cell turns to 10 because I have changed the value in that cell. Now, that is what we've done. If I have also, if I didn't use the cell number and then I did 2 plus 5 is 7. 2 plus 5 is 7 because I keyed in the values inside. But here, I use the cell values. So this is the difference between cell value and then the actual values. Then another thing is, now that we've understood the difference between the cell value and the actual value, let's just work with cell value. That way it's easier for me to use. Now, because we have this, if I also want to do minus, so let's say I want to minus equals sign. Remember, for us to initiate formula mode, we'll put equal sign. Then I say this cell minus this cell. That gives me 0. So if I make here to be 10, that gives me 5. Remember, when here is 10, that means 10 plus 5 is 15, and 10 minus 5 is 5. So this is how we can use minus sign. Then again, for division, if I also do initiate the formula 10 divided by 10 divided by not just 10, but this cell divided by this cell, which is 10 divided by 5 is 2. See, 10 divided by 5 is 2. So here is add, let me just give it add, and then we'll have subtraction, or what you can call minus subtraction. And then here is division, and then multiplication. Multiplication will now be, and then I initiate this, and then I have, let's say 10. Now, the way we use times in Excel is asterisk. So you use asterisk sign, and then this. So which means this cell, remember what I've told us about cell address and all that. So this cell times this cell is equals to this. So it means 10 times 5. So here, let me shift. This is one way you can expand your column. This column can be expanded the way you want. So you expand it so you see everything. Now, this is also a way for us to see how we can format some of these things. Now, remember what I said about the font format. Because I just want to make this place bold, I can just, under the font setting, can just make it bold. And I want the multiplication to be all in. I'll see everything. So what this means is this is plus, this is minus, this is division, and this is multiplication using asterisk. So that's just the basis that we are looking at. Then the next thing is data cleaning, for us to, the essence is for us to get used to Excel for data analysis. How do we clean data? How do we clean data? What are the techniques? How do you do? So we work with a sample data, which I will attach the file to the description. So if you are watching this right now and you want to have the same sample file as I'm doing, go to the description box. You see a link for the practice file. You can download it from your end, and then you make sure you follow through as I'm doing. So some of the cleaning functions that we have, May not be all of them, but this is particularly for the ones that may concern you as a data analyst because you may have to clean your data, remove some unwanted species or characters in it. So how do you achieve that? So we have introduced how to put your Excel into formula mode. So your equals to, then you open clean, you type clean, it will open your function. For instance, if I write equals to, then I type clean. So most of the times it tells you what that function is about. See, removes all non-printable characters. So what are non-printable characters? Maybe the data was gotten from a website or something, and then you're seeing characters like this. Um, Maybe you're seeing characters like this, something like that. And you're seeing characters like maybe 8, 6. So maybe like something that was gotten from a website, and you are seeing characters like this. How do you remove them? What does clean do? So when you do a clean, if you do a clean removes those kind of, which we will see as we go on. So this is what clean does. I will see them, and that of the trim also removes unwanted species as well. How do you initiate that? How do you initiate that? Also equals to trim. You see the function. See, it removes all species from text string except for single species between them. So, for instance, if there is a space before a text, so there is a space before a text, it removes. So if there is a space before a text value or a string value, it removes those spaces. So it trims them. It removes only the spaces before, not spaces between text. And then another thing it does, it removes double spaces. If there are double spaces, it reduces it to one. So some of these things is these are all cleaning functions. Another one we see is the value. So what value does it? It converts text characters to actual data types. So if we introduce equals to and type value, hang on, and type value, you see, converts text strings that represent a number to a number. So if you see a number, but it is not acting as a number, how do you make it to act as a number? So what you do is to convert it using what value. So it converts it to what? We'll see some of the cases as we go down. Then another function we see is substitute. Let's say you want to replace um let's say 3 3 5. You want to replace it. Oh, is writing. Excel is overthinking it. So maybe there is a 3 5 that you want to replace a 3-5. We'll see all of this that you want to replace with a 3.5. How do you do that? Instead of, the way you do that is to substitute the hyphen in between and replace it with with your preferred character. So that's another. So it replaces a character or a value with another. So as we go down, we'll see how we can apply some of these functions in the clean data. So let's say what we have here is um your manager has given you a table of raw data. This is a situation case of raw data to perform analysis on that. So you see what I was saying about this is an unnecessary character that you don't need it. Probably it was gotten from a website or something, or from, because there are a lot of data sources that might come in with unclean data. So this is practically what we call a dirty data. It is not clean because of these characters in between them. So how do you clean it? So how do you clean it? I think I've done this before. So let me just delete what I did here so we can look at it. So we can say clean, and then if I select this, so you see this is no longer here. This is no longer here. And if I want to affect it to the rest of them, remember what I said about this box. So all I need to do is just to drag it down, and it will do the same for all others. So it will clean every other thing here. I don't need to repeat that formula again. That's one good thing with Excel. Once you're able to do that in one, you can repeat it down. So here again, okay, no. This is a combination. After I've done the value, I'll come back and show us how we can combine the two. I don't want to confuse you. Then the next one is, remember what I said about trimming data? So there is a double space here, and there is a space before the value, and there is a double space, and there are a lot of spaces in between. So what trim does is, first of all, it removes any space before the value, and it removes spaces that are more than one. So you can see here this is like a double, while this is like a triple up to four spaces in between. So what trim does is to remove all those over spaces that we have in between the text, and then streamline them, trim them into the proper way of writing. So that's what it does. So I think I've also done this before when I was demonstrating to people as well. So what we'll do here is the same way. Just this is one way you can trim your data. Then select that. Now see some of these things. All we need to do is just to drag it down, and it cleans. You see all these over spaces, it cleans it. So how you do that is your trim. So the next we'll move to, so your manager has given you a table of raw data to perform analysis. The data has been pulled from multiple sources, but it needs to be cleaned or standardized. So now this is the case of where a number is acting as a text. This is a number, but it is a text. Text is like text is not even string. Text means it has no defined data type. That's what it means. It has no defined data type, even though it is a number, but it is not acting as a number, because a number value will always be at the tail end of that cell. It will always be at the end points of the cell, not at the beginning. Once you see a number that is at the beginning of the cell, please just know that that number is not acting as a number. Every number is always at the end of the cell, not at the beginning. Not at the beginning. So how do you handle that? Another way we can handle that, okay, just delete that. So one way we can handle that again is we'll just say equals to, this is one we can convert that text to actual value so that they can behave like numbers. So we say value, remember, this is what it says, converts a text string that represents a number to a number, because these are numbers, but they are text. So how we can convert them to act as values is through this function. So if we select one, so we'll drag it down. Now we drag it. Remember our box, so drag it to this point. Yeah, so 3 becomes 3. And then you can see they are now summable. They are now operatable as numbers, because you can, but over here, even if, look at here, even if I sum them, there is nothing, because they are not number, it's not recognized. But that particular table have been replicated here, and they are now acting as what? As numbers. In the substitute, so if you have an Excel that is like this is unclean, Remember, let us first of all read the task. The task is if your manager has given you a table and then the data has been pulled from the and needs to be standardized. So what we have to do here is we need to make this to make sense. We need to make it to make sense. How should it make sense to us? So this is like a pharmaceutical prescription or something, like a drug prescription. So if we have this is milligram, this is the mg is milligram or something. So and then we have VARCAD 3 to 5. So this might mean 3.5 milligram. So how do you handle some of these? How do you change that character? How do you handle some of these things to make it to be standardized? Because this is an example of unclean data. How do we clean the data? Remember that the first thing we do is what? To trim the data. That's the first thing we do. We trim the data, right? Now I have trimmed the data. Now, then because of anywhere I see the hyphen, I want to replace it with what? I want to replace it with dot so that it will be 3.5 milligram instead of 3-5, 3-5 milligram. So what do? I come here and then the first what I do is first of all to trim it inside. So when I have trimmed it, I'll now say substitute. This is function or function. I'll substitute what I have trimmed. So in the substitute, it takes in the text, which is what we have here. It takes in the text. So use your comma to see the point where you are in your function. It takes in the text, which will pass the text and put comma. Say old text, what is it that we want to change? What is that thing that we want to change? So use your double quotes to initiate whatever you want to change. So what we want to change is hyphen, right? That is what we want to change. Then you put comma, replace it by the new text. Remember, use your double quotes to include text values or string values. So now once you place hyphen with what? Dots. That is what we'll do there. And yeah, that's basically that. Can that's when you see something like the miss is optional, you might not be you may not necessarily put that. You can just end your bracket there and put that. Now when we drag this down, you see that when it gets to 3.5, it will make it. So what it has done is 3-5 has been converted to 3.5 milligram. So it goes along with every other thing that you want to change. Let's say, for instance, it's not just one. Let's say, for instance, um, so if you want to change another thing, if you want to change another, if you want to substitute another thing, so let's say we want to change all the ones that has division in it, like a backslash. So let's say we want to change, how does it make sense? Let's say we want to make it to be just, let's say we want to remove all the backslashes in it. So remember how it works is substitute first. So we've done the first substitute. It applies it. Then when I've applied it, you can do another substitute again. That's how you can do it. So substitute upon substitute. So substitute upon substitute means it will take already what we have, which is this. It will take already what we have, which is this. And then the old text that we want to replace it with this time around is slash. We want to replace slash comma, the new text, because I don't want anything, so I want to replace it with nothing, I'll just put empty. I'll just put, so what that means is replace all the slashes with what? With empty. So when you put empty like this, means remove it and don't replace it with anything. So that is what we'll do. When we apply that and put it across, you see that all the ones with backslashes will leave, will be removed. Close our bracket and then hit enter. Now I'll drag this down and you see that all these ones will no longer be there. Yeah, so you see all the ones with the backslashes are no longer there. Yeah, so that's also one way we can clean our data in Excel. Another way is, so let's look at this problem too. Um, now, now look at this. You have been tasked to create a table for 2015 and 2016 cost data. You have already created the same list for sales data in the previous 2 years. Using the data on the left and substitute formula, create a new list in the right-hand column. Now, I would like, because I'm going to attach this file, so with what I've done here, I also like you to apply that with what I've done here. I also like you to apply that strategy here. Let me see how you think around it. Let me see what you do around it. So this is for you. I've used this example and this is for you. For those that will have this file, try it from your own end and and see if you can get it. This is also another one that you can do on your own. So you have two assignments. Because I want you to see how you have applied it. So if you look at this, you see that this data, first of all, is not clean. So you have to clean it. And then after you've cleaned it, you can now operate on it as a number. So these are the basic cleaning functions that we have. There are a lot of them, but these are like the ones that we can uh, we can demonstrate for now as time goes on. So next one is other form of data cleaning and preparation, which is removing duplicates, filtering of data, removing of errors, most of them which we've handled, I'm going to demonstrate removing of duplicate as well. So let's just move to our Excel. There are columns that cannot be the same. So this is one of those cases. If you notice, if you look very closely, you see that 1002 was repeated here. So maybe the person that entered the data made a mistake. You can see column row 2 and row 8 are the same. If you look very closely, you see that row 2, right, and row 8 are the same. And row, look at these two rows, 3 and 4, we also repeated here, 3 and 4, if you look very closely. So when you have such cases, how do you remove duplicates? How do you remove duplicates from? So what we do is you select the data. How do you select your data? If you click here, this is how you select your data. If you click here, so you press Shift, Control Shift. So on the customer ID, Control Shift End. So under this, there should be no what duplicated customer ID because customer IDs are supposed to be unique. So one way you can work around this is select that column, which is control. If you want to reach the end, when you select it, you just go to data, see remove duplicates. So you see delete duplicate rows from a sheet. So because we have selected that column where we wanted to remove the duplicated rows. So we click on remove. So if you click on remove, it asks us the duplicate where the duplication is it in all of the columns. Now, because we saw that the duplication is in all of the columns, so we say select. So what that means is select duplicated rows that are in all of the columns. It's excuse me, it is always essential to use, in this case, to use select all because there may be cases where the columns may have, maybe like in country here, you can see here they are repeated values because it is the customer value. Or maybe like in the country, you can see Australia doesn't mean that you should delete it. They are different if you check across every other columns. It may be Australia here, but under the other week, it is Sunday and Thursday, even though it is Australia. So that's why it's always important to use select all. Select all means if there are duplicate values in all of the columns, you should delete it. If there are duplicate values in all of the columns, you should delete it. That is one. Or in a case where, for instance, either I say all, or in a case where I know that I am not supposed to have duplicated customer ID. Even if I don't say select all, and then I say only customer ID. So what that means is wherever I see duplicated values in a customer ID column, delete that row, regardless of what the rest of the row is. That's also another way. So it's a question of either you remove duplicated values from non-unique, from unique columns like customer ID. Customer ID is a unique column. So either you remove duplicated values from unique columns, or you remove duplicated values from all of the columns. That is one way you can apply your duplication and make sure that and be rest assured and be sure that you are not removing any valuable information from the data set. So because we've selected all, I'll just say, okay, let's see if it will remove some duplications in it. It's a large data set. Yeah, so you see, so from all of the columns, we have three columns that had what duplicated values. So you say three duplicate values found and removed. Now we now have 17,422 unique values remaining. So from all of the columns, each of the rows are now what unique to themselves because it has removed what three duplicate values. So this is one way you can see now the 102 and the 10 is no longer there. If you look at it, the what we had before, those duplicated values are no longer here because it has been removed. So this is one way you can apply and you can remove duplication. Then in case of another thing to look at in data preparation, maybe you can sort, for instance here. So let's say I can sort this from the largest. I can sort the customer ID. These are just ways of so I can sort the customer ID from largest to smallest. So that's just one way of me trying to sort something. Or I can sort it based on I can also sort I can also sort it based on the latest date. Latest date mean um I can sort it from latest date. Let's say Yeah. So this means from 2011. So the sorting is now from 2011, which is the earliest date. I can also be, so what that means is start from oldest date to newest date, which is what we've done, or start from newest date to oldest date. This is what was before, this is what we did. So either way, so these are just ways we can look at the years. You can see that the newest date is 2014, while the oldest date is 2011. So do you want to sort the other dates from the oldest, which is 2011, to the newest, or from the newest to the oldest? So what we just did now is from the oldest to the newest. If we want it from the newest to the oldest, we click on this. It will see that it will sort this from newest. So these are just ways you can pre-process our data and all that. So you can see it has all sorted from this to this. I can also fall back and say sort this from smallest to largest, from smallest to largest. And that's also one way I can sort that. Yeah, yeah. So that's how I done. Um Next is the word data manipulation. Other ways you can manipulate data and work easily with them is through text columns. So these are like in the cases where we have full names and then you want to split the full names into first name and last name, or in a case where you want to concatenate the the first name and last name into a full name. So these are all type of data manipulations, which I will show you in our next slide, in our next demonstration. And then we'll do some practical aspect of it. So let's assume that we want to combine these two first name and last name into a customer word name. So let's say this is what we want to do. So the first thing we'll do is to concatenate them, which is equals to concat. So look at the definition. Say concatenates a list or range of text strings. Why this? Join several text strings into one strings. Do you get? So this is concat. Concat concatenates a list or range of text values. It concatenates a list or what range. Why this concatenate is joins several text values into one text string. Are you seeing the difference? So now what we'll do is to concatenate, right? That is what we'll do, is to concatenate, because it will take the strings and combine them into one. So concatenate, I want this, which is the first string, the first name, comma, the last name, and that's just all we want. We say equals to. So because this is a table, no, no, this is wrong. This should be concat, not, yes, concat joins the list, yes. Oh, okay. Strings. So whichever way, I think what we'll do is we'll also apply a space, because this is between two strings, right? So what we'll do, we'll also apply a space using double quotation. Yeah, exactly. So this is how we can give a space between them. So we can say concat, which is it takes the first name, gives a space as another string, takes the last name. If we apply it, it will be so. Now you can see that the first name is the capital letter and the last name is in small letter. Let's assume let's say I want everything to be properly written. So how we can do that is to do what we call proper. There is a function called proper. So proper means it takes, it capitalizes the first letter of every word. That is proper. It capitalizes the first letter of every string value. That's what it does. So because I don't want one name to be in capital letter and the other to be in normal to be in small letter. I want everything to be each letter of the names to be capitalized. That's what I want. So I'll just say proper. So you can look at it. Convert, this is the function, convert a string to proper case, the first letter of each word to uppercase and all of the letters in lowercase. So that's what it does. So because of now why we are putting proper in front is because we want it to take the name as it is already and then apply it on it. So here we'll close the bracket. Close the bracket. So you see that all those capital letter are now in normal name, right? In That's the first name, the first letter of the name being capitalized and not all of them in caps. So it is now well written. So that's what proper does. So we can name that, can now call here customer name. Customer name. Yeah. Now this is a case of full name. So let's say we want to split a full name into first and last name. So how do we go about that? We select the column, we go to data, and then go to text column. Text column, what it does is it splits a column into two. In the cases of a full name that has the first and the last name. So if we want to split that column into two, so this is where we go to text to columns. So we'll go to delimiter. Delimiter is like, how do you want it to be splitted? From where do you want it to be splitted? Is it from where it has a space in between in some cases, or is it where it has a comma in between or something like that? So that is what the delimiter. So you go and see the delimiter you want. So you can see if you are choosing space, this is also the space. Tab is like the tab will have if it is separated by a tab space, but we just want space. So you select the space. Some cases it might be comma, but because there is no comma in it, so we want it to be separated by what? By the space. Just click OK. Once you click OK, it shows us how it will be full name, which we can now rename the column, and then we say finish. So you see, it splits this name into first name and second name, and we can now call here maybe to be the first name, and then we'll call here to be the last name, to be the last name. Yeah. And let's also assume that we want to, as we've done this, let's assume that we also want to concatenate in a case where we have first and last name, and we want to combine them into a one column. How do we go about that? So we use what we call concat or concatenate, whichever. So use concatenate. So what it does is we take this text and comma, then we'll put an empty space in between using, oh, I'm not done, sorry, using, yeah, put an empty space between the Kingsley, or the first name and the last name, then put another, select another text, which is this, and then I close the bracket. So what that does is it concatenates the first name, using a string space in between, and then the last name. If I OK it, I'm going to have, yeah, so you see what we had before This is what we now have now. So that way, if I double click on this small box, it will run through. So you can see this is also one way you can concatenate first name and last name into one column. So we can call this to be full name. Maybe like format it. So we've seen the cases where we have first name and last name concatenated into a full name, and then where a full name was also splitted into first and last name. So this is also another thing to look at. Now for the formatting, so let's say we're given we're given we are working with the data and we then want to format the data to make it to look nice. So this is what formatting is all about. First and foremost, we can see the difference between the columns and the rest of the rows. So what do we do in a way to format it? So we can bold it, we can bold the headers, bold them by font, and we can even go extra mile to maybe like give it a color to separate them from the rest of maybe we can use this color. Yeah. So if you're looking at it now, you can see that this is the head column. But do you notice something? When I scroll down, you see that I don't know what this mean again. I mean, we know that it is day, but we may not know in the actual sense, especially when you're dealing with a large data set, and then you don't know what the column mean again. You see yourself scrolling off to remember what that column is. Maybe you don't know that this is status, and then you have to go and check again. Oh, this is status, and then you start scrolling back. So instead of you know having that back and forth with your rows, another way to keep your head columns or your head rows to be the same even when you are scrolling down so that you can still be seeing the head columns is to freeze them. We call them freeze pane. So what you do is just select the column, go to the view. When you go to the view, then go to the freeze pane. Go to the freeze pane, and then it says freeze pane, freeze top rows. So what this means is keep the top rows. You can see from the little diagram here, it means the top row will be there even if you are scrolling down. The same applies to columns. If you want to keep your first columns and you want to see your first columns, let's say this is also how you can fit. So, but in a case where you want to keep both your first column and your first row, so what you do is you put this freeze pane. So what it does is it keeps row and first columns. So it keeps the rows and so the visible it keeps the rows and columns visible. So the first row, just like is drawn, the first row will be visible and the top rows will also be visible. The same goes with this. So the first column will be visible, but what we want here is just to keep the top row. So we click on the top row. Now, since I've clicked it, even if I scroll down, I can still see what they are. So that's also a way of formatting your data and making it look nice. It's just a data preparatory method. So what other things can we do? Okay, yes, I colored it. So now let's say we want to color all using conditional method. We want to color all of these. The static columns. The static columns, the ones that have confirmed should be colored with confirmed. Should be colored with yellow, I mean to say, and the one that is completed should be colored with completed. How do we go about that? So the first thing you do is to select your column. Once you select your column, then you go to the conditional formatting. If you come here, it says new rule. You click on new rule. So if you click here, so what we want is very simple. So go to only cells that contain, so only the cells that contain, that is what we want. So we'll go to format only, format only cells that, format all cells based on their value. So this is, no, to scale, no, oh, come on, it should be here. Yeah, so specific text. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. So what that means is all the text containing, all the text containing confirmed, all the text containing confirmed, I want it to be formatted with yellow. So I'll come here to format it with yellow. I'll go to the field. Field is the color I want it to be formatted with yellow. And then I OK it. If I OK it and click OK, you see that just like we've done, all of the ones that are written confirmed are now yellow. So I can also create another rule. I can also create another rule by going to the conditional formatting. Either I say manage rule or create another rule. So under manage rule, I can see a new rule. So if I create another rule, or instead of creating another rule, let me just show you another way. I can duplicate this rule and change the method. So if I duplicate this rule, I come here, I just come to one and then edit the rule. So if I edit the rule, so here I don't, what I want is no longer this. I'll say complete. That's the value I want. And then I change the yellow to green. Yeah, is that the green that we have? Yes. I did the same. Yeah, it's okay. And okay. So now what that means is wherever I see completed, it will use confirm, it will use green field. And wherever it sees, if I apply it, which you can see the difference. I think the green is too much of, I mean, it doesn't mean, so anyone that uses, okay. So this is one way, this is what we call conditional formatting. So we are not just filling it, it is formatting it based on the rule, which is wherever you see completed, apply a green field. Wherever you see confirmed, apply a yellow field. Now, in the same way, we can also, now this can usher us to a little bit of some of the data analysis in Excel, which is count. So let's assume this is a very large data set. You may not really count the ones that are green and the ones that are yellow by just looking at it. So how can you use formula to do that? So you can just say equals to, and then you say count, then we click on the count if for the confirmed. So count if, that's what we use. Count if, so this is the range. This is the range of what we are counting from. If it is, so the criteria is if it is confirmed. So I'm going to click on it, the confirmed, and lock it. So how do we lock it? F4, use F4 to lock, use F4 to lock it, because when, no, I'm not, oh no, I won't lock it because when I take it down, I want it to also apply to that of the completed. So I won't lock this. Let me go back. Yes, just on a normal, yes, because when I drag it down, I want it to be applied on the completed. So, but what I can lock is the range. Yes, it's the range that I lock. F4, because this is the range I'm working with. Yes. So you see, this range is locked. It can no longer move, but this is movable. So what this formula says is count if it is confirmed. Count. Tell me how many they are. Or if it is completed, tell me how many they are. That is simply what it's saying. And then we'll click OK. So because we've now this is 10, it's telling us that all the ones that are confirmed is 10, and all the ones that are completed is what? 9. I see it. So this is conditional formatting as well. So it's counting based on, so to do something based on something is what we call conditional. So we can now simply just say equals to, well, there are so many ways. You can just say maybe ought equals to um and just say just say sum of these two. Yeah, 19. Yeah. That is that. Now there is also one more thing that we can also look at. Let's assume that I don't just want this to be filled just based on only this column. So I want it to be filled across all of them. So what that means is, so excuse me. So what that means is, if it is completed, don't just fill only this, fill the whole row. And if it is confirmed, don't just fill this particular cell, fill the whole row. So that way, the rows will be based on green, yellow, just from one aspect. So that is another way we can do formatting. And how can we do that? So what we'll do is, first and foremost, we select the cell, the whole data area that we are hoping to apply that, and then we'll go to the conditional formatting. Either there are two ways. Either we can change what we already have, or we can come from a managed rule. So let's go to managed rule and create something from there. So you can go to new rule, or let's edit this. Let's edit the green. So what we are doing now, we are editing, and what are we saying? So we are using a formula to determine which cells to format. So here, so here, we are using the formula to apply to edit rule where this is. So the first thing we do is we click on the first, hang on, why is this? So the first place is the first, yeah, so now the idea is the first value of where this is true. The first value of where this is true. So where this is true is if it is confirmed. The first place it should be green is when it is what equals to the cell is F2. So if it is F2, hang on a minute, I will say equals to F2, F2, F2 equals to, F equals to completed. Is it case sensitive? Just in case it's case sensitive, let me just completed. Yeah. So wherever it is completed, it should turn the whole row should be green. Yes. So that's F2 is equals to, so wherever I see completed, turn the whole row to be green. It should be this. If I apply it, let's see. Hmm. Hmm. Hang on. There is something I'm not doing well here. Just to make sure that, let me check something. Just okay. So let's see. First of all, let's see if we can clear this formatting rule that we have here. If we clear that, or let's clear the rules. Hang on. The rules that are applied here. Let's clear the rules that are applied here and see. Yes. So let's see how this occurs. So first of all, select and then go to conditional formatting, go to new rule. Yeah. Now say we want to use a formula. Want to use a formula that says F2 equals to F2 equals to completed. So equals to F2 equals to completed. So format the field to be green. Okay. And yeah. So what that means is wherever we have this to be green, wherever we have this to be green, wherever I have completed, the whole row will be green, not just that particular one. The whole rows will be green. And in the case of, if we want to do for that of the confirmed, we can also do the same. We'll just go to the manage rules and duplicate this. As simple as that. Once we duplicate it, we'll come to one, edit it. We'll come to one and edit it to be confirmed. As simple as that. Just edit one to be confirmed and then change confirmed and change the color to be yellow. As easy as that. So change the color to be yellow and we okay it. If we apply it, we'll see. So you see the whole row now. So wherever, instead of the status column being yellow, the whole row is now colored based on the value of the status. That's also what we can do conditional formatting. So now let's look at the Excel functions for data analytics. before we do our recap and then close it off for the session. So we are here. So look at how we can apply some of these functions, sum, average, count. We did a little bit of count when we are doing some of the formatting tools here in the conditional formatting. Then some count if and then VLOOKUP. So now we have a lot of things we apply. We'll see how we can meet some of these data analytics functions and all that. So here we'll do just a little bit of what we've done already, which is the sum. So we'll just follow the instructions here to help us to guide us through the function. So here we'll just, so here we are summing the amount of the food sold, right? So this is the fruits and this is the amount. They say in the yellow cell under the amounts for fruits, we should do what? We should apply this. This is just a way I have. The instruction is to help you, to guide you, to see how you can follow each step. But it's very straightforward. Honestly, I promise you, it's very straightforward. So what you just do is equals to the sum, open bracket. So you see number one, number two. So these are like entries. So either you select one and press comma, it asks you of number two. Select number two, press comma, asks you of three. But because you cannot continue to do all this, so the easier way is once you open the bracket sum, you just select by what? Select the range of what you are doing. Once you select it, you see it takes the first cell to last cell. So when you see column means between entries between this cell and this cell. That is what that column means. So entry, even if I don't select it and I'm typing it, if I type D4 colon D and then I try to trace it D8 or D7, I mean D7. You see, once I type it, it selects it already. It selects, so, but the easier way is just to use your mouse and drag the range that you want to sum, or the range where you want that your operator, that your function to apply. That's what you do, and then you click enter. That's 70. That's one way we can sum this. Another way we can also sum this, there are different ways to apply sum, is to do what we call alternate equal sign. So you press your alternate and equal sign. Automatically it picks that range and sums everything. Automatically, alternate and equal sign. That's what we did. It takes in Excel assumes that you want to sum this, so it takes it in and pull everything and asks you to. All you just need is to press enter, and then that's one way. Another way is, so let's try this. The next function says, the next instruction says, now this is where we apply sum if. Sum if is, let's sum a particular thing based on a criteria or on a condition. So it's a conditional operation. Remember this, there are no conditions, we just sum everything. But here is asking us to sum only the fruits whose amount is greater than 50. That is what we're doing here. We are summing the amount of the fruits whose individual amounts are 50 and above. No, it's not even 50 and above, are greater than 50. So it means greater than 50. So what that means is basically 100 I will see here, because it says add the numbers above 50 on the yellow cell selected. So what we'll do is, remember, equal sign initiates what we are trying to do. Hang on. Okay, just making sure I'm not blocking something because I was seeing. So equals sign sum if. So once you type sum, you see the sum if as a function. As a function. This this thing is when you see this sign, this is the one you see, sum if. Now, if there are more than one criteria, you use some ifs. If there are more than one conditions, but if it is a one condition, just use some if. So, so you see, the first thing actually is to take the range, which is this is the range of where I want that thing to be applied, and then I put comma or some criteria, right? The the criteria, right? So the criteria is also where criteria is greater than 50. Hang on. Greater than 50, right? Greater than 50. No, like when you're putting a character, you have to cover it in double quotes, please. Greater than 50. Yep. Yeah, it's still the same. The sum range is still the same place. It's still the same. The sum range is still the same place. 100. So it's still the same place. The sum range is still the same place. So you press 100. Now, if you look at the sum of all the foods that are greater than 50 is just 100. It's just basically this. Now, for us to test our model, let us see if I put 70 here, if there will be a change. Yes, there is a change because it has now taken note that another amount is greater than 50. So which means 70 and 100 is what? 170. So let's take it back to what it was, which is 50, just for you to see. So you try this. So we've done sum, sum if, count, and count if. We did count if and we did conditional formatting. So these are like some of the things we apply in a way to, we've done some of these things. So what you do is, okay, let's look at this. I've basically along the line I've taught all of this, which is to fill. Yeah, this is to fill. When you want to fill a number, just drag like this, and then the formula applies to the rest. So I believe this is all straightforward if you follow through. Now on the split, I've also done the split when we did so now. Okay, let's try this. Let's try. Okay, let's start from here. Even though I have done that, but let's try from here. So there are different ways that we can fill something. There are different ways you can. Let me delete this. Now, if you follow the instruction here, the instructions are very straightforward. In the cell under the first name, right? So what we'll do is Excel tries to understand what is it that we are trying to do. So if we type Nancy under the first name, let's say you have large rows that you are dealing with, and then you type Nancy and press enter. If you try to type Andy, so you see, so Excel is now trying to ask, are you trying to get all the first names from this email? So instead of you trying to type all of them one by one, Excel assumes that this is what you are trying to do. So when it gives you this kind of suggestion, it is called flash fill. You press enter. Look at it, it's called flash fill. So Excel assumes that, oh, what you are trying to do is to write down the first names before the dot sign from all of the email. Is the model that is being created into it. That's what it does. Now, another way we can also do that is, so now so another way we can try that is, another way we can go to flash fill here, can go to this place, and then we click on flash fill. Hang on, hang on. We can so another way we'll type Smith, and then we'll come here and we'll go to flash fill. Yeah. So this is another way we can do that. So you first of all type Smith, or which is like, what you are trying to do is you are trying to tell you're trying to tell Excel what is it that you want to do. So because I wrote the Smith, which means I'm taking the last name. So you have to first of all give your first input as an example before you apply your flash fill. So either that, or there are other ways, which I'll show you two ways that you can do flash fill now. Now, another way we can also do that, so this is for flash fill, which is also a way to split your column, to split column into elements that you want. So we can see that we have taken the first and the last name just from an email. Remember, we don't have a column for first and last name, but we're able to get that from the email using flash fill. So here again, let's delete this. So we'll have an idea of what is it. So you should also follow the first step here. If we click and drag the cells from Excel all the way down to, so no. So here, what we'll do here is what I've done already. I think I did that already with these already predefined steps. So I did that with the flash fill. Yes, I did that with the flash fill. So which is under data. Go to your data, text to column, I mean to say, not flash fill. So under text to column, no, I have to select all of them. Yes. When you select this, go to text to column. Yes, delimiter. So ask me of the delimiter. I say, so remember at the first time we did space, now it is what, comma. And each time you will see the how it will look like. It gives you a data preview of how it will look like. If I click on comma now, you see that it has given me what I want, which is going to split all of this based on the name, this, and the company, right? So that is what it's going to do. Now I don't, because I'm doing comma and space, that's why this limited is still here. I want it only by the comma, so I'm going to remove the space so that I can have limited alongside with the company. Now, if I apply this, we see that it will be by the first name, the last name, and then the company. The company. That's when we can split this into three separate columns. It says, do I want, this is a way of asking me what I want for each of the columns, the data format I want. I just leave it at general and then I say finish. Yes. Oh no, there's a mistake here. I want it to, I want it to, yeah, no, I'll just put here. Just for us to have an idea, I'm just going to, this is another way we can, yes. I just want to split it here. So we'll take this and put it here and then we'll drag it. That's one way we can do that. So under here and down, because I'm so this is one way we can copy from one column to another. You see the way I did it. Let me go back just to not to confuse you. So what we are trying to do, what I did, I want it to be affected from here and not to replace the main data, right? So for me to copy this column to this place, I need to first of all select the cell. Remember, this is our flash fill button. So what that means is I want to copy all of this to here. I'll just drag it to the next column and everything will be copied. Then when it is now here, I can then do the text to columns, which is using the delimiter, using the comma, and then finish and then finish. Yes, that is what I want. Yes. So it asks me because what it does is that column where we applying it is from where it starts splitting it. So I didn't want to replace what we already have so that you can see the difference of what we have here versus here. And then I don't want I'm going to remove the, yes, so that's, yes, I don't want the fill, the gray fill on the first name. So you can see that this is the data and this is the function that we did. So that's for flash field. So we've done splits, flash field. So these are ways you handle your data manipulation. These are also different ways you can split your columns and others. So we've seen two types of splitting, the one that we do with just typing and the one we do with what text to text to column, the one that will do with this, text to column, and then the one that will do with flash fill. So these are different ways you can words separate our columns. Then in transpose, so this is now another way we can do this is, let's say if you copy this, so like I mean the instructions are all pretty forward. Look, say click and drag to select the two rows of this. So if we select these two rows, right? Say now copy the cell, which is Control C. Copy the cell. Once you copy the cell, right? Then click, yes, which is probably this one. Let me first of all delete it. I think this is probably this place where we'll have this. Yeah. So we'll come here. So click here and then we can right click or because that particular paste function is here. So when we right click, no, my copy is no longer there. So first of all, I have to copy this and then I come here. Very good. That is where I can, you see, my paste function is now highlighted. So it asks me how do I want to paste it? Under the paste special, which is not in my right click, that's why I have to come to the home ribbon and look for paste special. Under the paste special options, I will see that of the transpose. Then we'll check under here, paste special. I'll come here. I'll go to transpose, the one that transposes the value. I think when you go to the value, yes, transpose the values. Yes. So if I okay it, yes. Now you see we have replicated this. So assuming maybe you are working on your data and instead of being like this, you want it to be the other way around. So this is one way you can do it. And you can also apply it to edit. So these are different ways you can do your transpose and every other thing. So when you get this file, make sure you follow through these instructions and um, get the instructions and see other ways that you can do it. One thing with Excel is there are so many ways to do a lot of things. There are a lot of ways to do a lot of things. So here again is some sort of sorting, which we have also done that along the line. So this is just to sort. So I think there was nothing here. Let me remove every. Let me clear all the. Let me clear every formatting content or sorting. Yeah, let me clear every sorting, every filter here. Let me also, yeah. So this is the first thing. Assuming you have your data like this and you're asked to sort, first of all, it doesn't have a drop down. So the first thing you do is to put a filter on it. How do you put a filter? You select the rows, you come here, and then you click on the filter. Now, once you see the drop down, means it is now filterable. So once it's filterable, it is what? Sortable, right? So if I come here, so it says we can go to the department. We can go to December. We can go to December. I'm trying to follow the instructions here. So in the December column. So when we come to the December column, so from here you can sort anything you want from each of the columns. You can sort. Let's say you want to sort from. You can sort it from largest to the smallest. So this is so this whole table is now sorted based on the Samba column, which is from largest to what? To smallest. You can also sort based on department, let's say from A to Z. You can also sort from what? A to Z. So that means alphabetical order from what? Department from the on the department column, you are sorting alphabetical order from B to so these are just different ways you can manipulate your data. The same one comes with date as well. You can also sort our dates. Can also sort our dates from oldest to newest, from newest to oldest and oldest to so we can do this. See, it has sorted it. So this is newest means 16th. 16th is the newest date compared to 14th. And if you are starting from oldest, it will take from 10th. So each time it will highlight if it is sorted, it will highlight the mode it is. And then we'll select this. So what that means, it has sorted it from 10th March, which is oldest to. So these are just different ways you can manipulate data. Another one we can look at here is table. How do we insert table? There are different ways you can insert table. For instance, the one I usually like to use is when you're in a table environment, everything is automatic. I usually like to work with data that is in a table because it is a structured data. Excel, once it is in a table, Excel understand what is it that you want to do. Even if it, for instance, if I just type, hang on. Now, so let's follow this one by one. So you click inside the data, right click and insert table and okay. So I believe this was probably there was nothing there before. So let's remove the sorting and everything just to make sure. Yeah, let's remove the sorting. Just make it normal. So here, if you have a normal range of data and you want it, so normal range is not a structured data, but table makes it a structured data. Structured data means table recognizes that it has a header, there are rows, there are columns, there are addresses to heads, sorry, there are addresses to columns and rows. So when you are working in a table format, your work is a lot easier. It's much easier than when you are working with unstructured range of data. So the first thing, this is an unstructured range of data. So the first thing you do when you're working with just a range of data is to put it in a table is advisable. It makes it easier because anything you do is automatic. Excel understands what you're trying to do because it is already in a structured data. So one of them is to put it in a table, which is I can just easily come here and then say insert a table. So you see, it picks out all I need to do. I just click on any part of that range, then Excel marks that range and tells me, does my table has headers? I said yes. Once I click header and then I'll okay it. This is a way of creating table. I will okay it. Once I okay it, that's it. This is it. Another way, let me just go back. Another way you can do this is Control T. I'll just come here and then press Control T. Control T. That's what I press. And then it marks that place. Once you say that your table has headers, it recognizes that it is what? A column. And then you click OK. Once you click OK, it makes it sortable. That's one thing with table. It makes it more like a range of words, like a structured data. For instance, I have October, November, December. If I just write January here, if I just write January and click OK, you see what happens? Automatically, it takes that January to be a column, knowing that I have columns that are like that. So that's one thing with what? That's one thing with working with what? Table. Another thing we can do in a table, let's assume that the this is just a way of us trying to add something to the data. Let's assume that we want each of the December sales. We want each of the December sales to be added by 1,000 in their January. So let me say extra of, to use an address. Let me use an address and see if that happens. So extra 1,000. So if I come here and say 1,000 plus, I'm going to lock it. Locking is use F4 to lock that value. Lock that value means I don't want it to be moving alongside. Just let it be like this. And then I click this and okay it. I'm gonna use which other way we can do this? Okay, I have another. Let's just use what we have from for us to. We are just trying to find something to populate. So let's say the let's say the table here is now what was sold in October plus what was sold in November. Oh, some okay. Oh. I was trying to use the operator, so let me use sum function. Yes. So quick even one. Let me try the 1,000 again and see if that works. Yeah, lock it in. This whatever I have here. whatever I got in December. So sum of whatever I have about in December and this. So that's correct. So you see, so what that means is all the things that were sold in November, this is just us trying to populate. This doesn't mean anything. Just me trying to show you how table works. I just only clicked. I didn't drag anything. Remember, I didn't drag anything. Just once you do one formula on a particular cell inside the table format or in a table structured data range, it applies to all. That's one good thing. I just click enter and the whole thing was populated. So that's one thing with working with populated data. I mean, if you go through some of the instructions here, which pretty straightforward for those that will access this file, you will see a lot of them. And if you have any issues, you just let me know. Another thing we'll look at is what we call drop down data validation. It helps a lot. It helps a lot. So let's see what's going to happen here. Now, data validation is a way of, when that customer care representative or that receptionist is working in a hotel, knows the rooms and their room number and the prices, and for him to know the food and the department it is, he goes here and selects it from here. It's called data validation. Data validation. So if you are working as a data analyst as well, there are cases where you need data validation to is a way of data entry, is a way of inputting your data. Instead of making mistakes, you already have that list somewhere. So all you just need to do is just to select it from somewhere and input. That's simply what we call data validation. So let's follow this instruction and see how we can go around it. So we want only three departments, department names to be valid for each of the foods on the right. Now, that department has been taken from somewhere. The food, this is the department. This is the department, right? This is the department. The food has been taken from somewhere, right? So so on the yellow, click and drag to select the yellow cell, which we've done already. If we have the meat, the this and all that. So sometimes either that the list is on the same sheet or is on another sheet. But either ways, the idea is that you're working with a list, right? If you're working with a list, for instance, I want to I want to create something different from what I already have here. On the data tab under the allow, so okay. Let me remove the data validation here and apply another thing. So under the data validation, I'll just clear all. Yeah. Okay. So there's no data validation here now for us to see how it is being applied. So let's assume this is the list of the food that we have, right? And I want to, instead of thinking about where that department for that food is, I can just easily click here and then select that department. So what do I do? It's simple. All I need to do, I go to the main list of that department, select it, right? Once I select it, I go to data validation. No. First of all, I have to select this place, which is where I want the data validation to be applied, or where I want to be selecting those list of departments from. So I select that place and then I go to data validation. I click on data validation. It opens up. It opens up. Then I go to list. meaning that I want the validation to be as a form of list. So now it takes in as a list, then asks me to select the source. That source can be either on this sheet or on another sheet. So if I click here, right, and then this is the source of, I can choose the first three or the last or all of them. So I can just select, I can select 5 of them or 4. I can make it, then I can select again, just 5 of them, right? And then I click on this. So now that source is here. This is where I want the source to be taken from, right? And then I'll click OK. Now, remember, this is where I apply that list. So henceforth, this is where it will now be taken, right? But remember, I only did this for this type of food. So here now, if I select apple, what type of food is it? Is it produce, meat? So apple is a food, so we can call it produce, right? Beef is what? Is a meat, can call it meat. Banana is also, in this case, a produce. Lemon, broccoli, stuff. So maybe like bread is a bakery. So these are just way it's easy that way. That's what we call data validation. To have your list somewhere and then we are having where we are inputting it. So the same way the lists here are also pretty forward. The instructions here are pretty forward. So you can follow the instructions. Another that's pretty much of let's look at data VLOOKUP. Let's look at VLOOKUP. So here for the VLOOKUP, we have a table A, and then we have where we apply them. So, but the first thing we do is to apply a data validation, right? So we'll follow these instructions one by one. But I won't do instruction 4 because I've done it. That would be your little assignment to see how much you learn from that. So we'll create a list of items referencing the bid amount from table A. So this is the bid amount, right? So the first thing we do is we select, remember, for you to create data validation, you have to first of all select where you want to apply the drop down or the data validation list. So we'll select that place, then we'll go to data and go to data validation. We'll go to data validation, click on data validation, then select list. Select the list. We want it to work as a list. Then ask us of source, the source of where we are selecting it. So we say we are selecting it from here because this is where the bid amount is. We are selecting it from here. We okay it. Right. So that is what we have. So henceforth, if you come here, see, we can select the bid amount that we want. Can select the bid amount that we want, which ranges from this. Now there is a little observation here. If you notice, we have 251. So one will ask, will it have, would the $251 appear there? No, it takes the first value for data validation. It takes the first value. That's what it does. It takes the first value. It doesn't need to repeat it because it is only a unique value that you want. So that's what it takes. It takes the unique value. Then that's the first instruction because it said we should create a list of bid amount from table A. So we can create this list. Let's say 51, after 106 is 51, after 51 is 77. We'll just create the list, right? 80, the next one is, after 80 is 100, after 100 is 73, right? So that's it, 73. Then again, the next one says using the data from table A, create a formula in C3 that will display the potential revenue according to bid amount. So we'll use what VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP is a way to search something through an address, or in a way to get a value through an address. We don't need to know it often, but VLOOKUP helps us to, the word lookup, it helps us to look for that value using a formula. So we don't know the potential revenues that are attached to this bid amount, but with the help of VLOOKUP, we can what? Get that. How do we apply VLOOKUP? First thing is we initiate our formula mode, which is what? Equals to VLOOKUP. We'll type VLOOKUP. Once you type it, you come out. You double click, you double tap. Now, one of the ways to learn Excel formulas is to follow this guide. This guideline is what helps you to know what is expected. The arguments within the formula is what helps you to know what is expected in your Excel formula. So now the VLOOKUP, what is it that we are looking for? We're looking for the bid amount. We select the bid amount, right? Comma. In the table array. So what table array are we looking at it? So we are looking at it from here. We are looking at it from here. That is the table array that we are looking at it, right? And then now another thing to take note is whatever you are looking for has to be the first column in the range that you are selecting. Remember, I didn't select this because what I'm looking for is bid amount. Therefore, I will start from bid amount. Whatever you are looking for has to be the first column. It has to be the first column in the table array or in the range that you are selecting. That is the difference here. So once I select it, I lock it down. How do we lock it down? Remember, I'll just click here and press F4 in your keyboard. Here again, I'll press S4 in my keyboard. So I've locked that array now. Now it now asks me the column index of the number that we are trying to get. What is the column index? So what is column index? Remember, what we're looking for here is potential revenue, right? So the column index of what we're looking for starts from here. If the bid amount is column index number 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Therefore, what we are looking for, the potential revenue we are looking for, has column index of what? 4. Right? You see, the one you do, you press comma, you shift to the next one. So it asks you, is this some sort of approximation you want the exact match? Yes. So exact match means get me whatever that is here. Don't approximate. So we click on exact match. Right? Once you click on it, you watch, you lock it up. If you press enter, you will see that for 103 bid amount has potential revenue of 10,008. So you see what we did exactly the way it is here. That's what it gets for us, and that is what they ask us to do here. So they say we should create what? A VLOOKUP formula to display the potential revenue in C3. This is C3, right? So when we drag it down now, right? We'll drag it down. When we drag it down to every other thing here, it will appear. So for 106, this is 106, has the potential revenue of this. So let's assume I change any of these, any of the things I change. If I change this to 0.00, if I change it to 0.00, it's still 21.6, right? Let me look for, if I change it to 208, let's change it to 208. If I change this to 208, let's see if this will also change. You see, if any big amount I change, will also change the potential revenue based on what the bid amount is. And if you look at our table, the bid amount has potential revenue of 16,748, and that is what we have here. So that's how VLOOKUP works. Next one is another VLOOKUP, I guess. So it says create a VLOOKUP formula to display the status in CD3. So now another thing to look at is I'm going to copy this, but the only thing I'm going to change is the column index. So all we need to do is to copy this, which is already for potential revenue, and then push the index column to 3 so that it can, sorry, to 2, so it can take off that of the win or loss. If we copy this and put it here, so all we need to do is here, E3 are basically the same, and then change this to 2. So let's go back. Now the lookup value is this. It's the same VLOOKUP value, but different thing that we are pulling. This is the lookup value, right? And this is the table range. Now the column index is the index column of what we want to get, which is the status called win or loss. I remember what we said. It starts from the the position of where your lookup value is, which is here as number 1. The next one following it, which is what we are looking for, is number 2. So that becomes number 2. And then we want the exact value. So if we click that, so you see it tells us whether it's 1 for this or not. Remember 208, because we've changed 208 is lost. So the next thing we'll see is lost. So all we need to do is just to right click, double click on this and press down. So lost, and I think, yeah, the potential, the conditional formatting is still here. That's supposed to be assignment, so I'm going to remove it. I'm going to remove the formatting. Yeah. Yes. So the number 4, you apply it yourself. So this is one way we can apply VLOOKUP, data validation, and all that. So now we've seen how we've moved from Excel interface, getting to know Excel interface and knowing the ribbons and the cells, what is a cell, the columns, the formula bars, some of the few arithmetics, and then how to clean data. These are some of the things that will prepare you into understanding how to handle data. If you're able to understand handling of data, data manipulation, data cleaning from right from Excel, it ushers you into other data analytic tools. Now you now understand what is even a dirty data or unclean data and what is a clean data. So with all of this, you now know some formulas like sum, average, count, sum if, which is conditional or conditional arithmetic function, which is sum if, count if, and VLOOKUP and all of this. So we've seen how we apply all of this. And if there are also some other things that we've left, which will serve as an assignment when I attach the data set. You try those ones on your own, and then you submit it to me via email. So the next we'll be looking forward to is to look at pivot table and Excel charts. once you get that across in our next class, it helps us to understand the basis of data analytics. These are just the fundamentals. These are just there are a lot to discuss in terms of Excel, but these are only the fundamentals that will usher us into data analytics using Excel. So make sure you download the practice file and learn alongside with this. And I believe you catch up. If you have any issues, drop it on the comment section, like, share, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much, guys, and stay tuned for our next class.